Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to B4Best Debating Championship. And with the motion, this house believes that online learning is good. My name is Sulistyaningsih as a moderator. And for today's debate, from the government side, we have Khaerunnisa as the first speaker, Hilwa Adzakirah as the second speaker, Serina as the third speaker, and from the opposite side, we have Aini Nabila as the first speaker, Fitria Maya as the second speaker, and Maesaroh as the third speaker. And now, to open the debate, let's call the first speaker from the government team. So, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, moderator. Now, e-learning is an educational system or concept that utilizes information technology in the teaching or learning process. Now, what lessons are taking place at this time? In 2021, with the coronavirus case, the Minister of Education and Culture recommend that all activities in educational institutions carry out e-learning. Not only in Indonesia but throughout the world. Learning uses e-learning. Why? Because to prevent the spreading of the virus. Under current circumstances, all students are required to be able to maximize the use of technology as a tool of them to the online learning. They must be able to take advantage of technology can advance. There are currently very advanced and developing. Online learning methods such as Zoom, Google Meet, Google Classroom, WhatsApp group, and other learning media. The benefit of e-learning: 1. Flexible. E-learning provides flexibility in choosing the time and place to access learning, such as Zoom, Google Meet, Google Classroom, and the other learning media. 2. Cost efficiency. E-learning provides cost efficiency for learn in terms of transportation and accommodation costs. In addition, there are additional costs such as the procurement of book and photocopies of material and so on. One of the other benefits of learning is that it's called in these expenses so that student and teacher only need to be connected to a screen and internet connection. That's enough for me and thank you.
Okay, thank you for the first speaker from the government team. And now let's call the first speaker from the opposite team. The time is yours.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as we know that we are as a human being, we are forced to be faced with this kind of learning, right? Online learning because of this pandemic, right? Because of this pandemic, so students they are cannot do offline learning. They are do an assignment through Zoom, through Google Meet, and so on and so forth, right? And we and the problem here is that this kind of learning is creating a bad impact for students because it will makes their mental heart are broke because let's see because they are every day they are should face to be with this kind of learning, right? which is is not good, and we don't want this happen. Because why? Because we want students they are can easily interact with other. They are can feel the the environment in their classroom, so they are can do the learning efficiency, right? And I come up with two idea here. The first is why online learning is not good, and then the second is why offline learning is better comparing to online learning, right? But before I deliver my argument, let me I have two response to the government team. First of all, they are talking about the benefit of uh, online learning, such as the flexibility and so on and so forth, right? But no, I don't think so, right? Because why? Because actually, online learning is not that flexible. Because why? Because here's a lot of class that they are do this kind of learning at midnight at 7 p.m., which is it means that it is not flexible. Because why? Because how can we are as a human, we cannot focus on our on that kind of learning if we do this learning at midnight. So it means that it is not that flexible, right? And then second of all, the first speaker of the government team, uh, they are didn't give us a guarantee if if this online learning will make your cost more efficient. Because why? Because in fact, even if you are do online learning, I mean, you will buy the internet package, right? Even if government provide us a free internet package, but it is not enough. So we as students, we are still buy this kind of we are still buy internet package, which is not that cheap. So with I think government failed. Government filed to give us a guarantee of the cost efficiency. Of this cost efficiency, right? And now let's move to my team case. First is why online learning is not good. Because a students, they will lose their communication skill, right? Because ideally humans, they are love to socialize. uh, Students, they are love to meet other students, face to face and so on and so forth, right? To actually get more benefit. What's the benefit of if you are do offline communication, right? It will get you some benefit, such as communication skill, right? But when we are faced to this online learning, they will not get this benefit. Because why? Because if we are do this kind of communication, we will not feel the excitement of our topic. We will not get this kind of excitement of our communication. So what will happen when you are not have this kind of excitement? You will actually hard to express your idea to others. For example, let's see, when you will hard to just express your idea. You will hard to just ask to your lecturer about the material. Because why? Because you are lack of your communication skill. You will feel awkward. You will feel shy when you want to ask to your lecturer. Because why? Because you are not have this kind of excitement, right? Because you are talking to others through via Zoom and so on and so forth, right? And then second of all, students, they will hard to get a relation. Because again, relation is important for us. Because at the end of the day, it will affect to our to our career, to our future, right? And this will makes you are hard to get a relation. Because you are just meet your friends and your lecturer without meet uh, with other friends in the outside, right? So it will actually hard for you to get a relation with other, right? And then second of all, why offline learning is good comparing to online learning, right? Because it will not offline learning will not break students mental heart. Because why? First of all, again, it's because we as students, we we meet friends every single day. They meet new environment every day because ideally humans need refreshing, right? And this offline learning, it is can be called as a refreshing comparing to online learning because we can go to outside, right? uh, Even in this pandemic, right? And even in this situation, we are still do offline learning, and offline learning will I mean the excitement of offline learning will same even if this pandemic it is not exist. Because why? Because we are do the whole protocol that will makes you protect to I mean from the virus, right? So that's why we as a opposite team we are strongly disagree about offline learning, and I beg to oppose. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the first speaker from the opposite team. And now let's recall the second speaker from the government team. So the times is yours.
Thank you. And I disagree with Aini's argument. Actually, online learning is cost effective because internet quota will last for months. For example, 50,000 rupiah equals to 20 gigabyte that can last for a month. Not to mention the internet quota that government provided specifically for online learning. But transportation money costs a lot. For example, gas money. Offline school is like 5 or 6 days in a week, so that's a lot. Gas money is not cheap, not to mention if the student's house is far away from school. And there's also pocket money. That's a lot of expenses. And secondly, I think online learning doesn't necessarily impact students' communication skill because online learning can use video conference. Communication is not just physical interaction, but also can be in a form of text, calls, and video. It's up to the teacher how they want to teach the students and the students' willingness to communicate. I don't think it's much different from offline school if the students don't want to open up and communicate. Even in offline school, if the students is someone who's, for example, antisocial and doesn't even interact with his or her friends and family, I don't think online learning is much different. So it's in the individual, not because of online learning. Maybe there are even students who's more comfortable communicating through screen. So I don't think online learning impacts communication skill. And now moving on to the next idea that online learning can improve uh, virtual communication and collaboration. Learning to work with others in a virtual environment can make you a more effective leader. You'll develop critical leadership leadership skill by utilizing specialized knowledge, creating efficient process, and making decisions about best communication practices, such as what should be discussed in person or online. In an online learning, you'll also participate in discussion boards with your classmates, communicate with professors via email, and collaborate through various software programs. As the programs progress, you'll get better at pitching your ideas and making strong, professional arguments through text. Thank you. I'll give it back to the moderator.
Okay, thank you for the second speaker. Let's move to the opposite. Let's move to the second speaker from the opposite team. So the time is yours.
Okay, thank you. All right. I, as the second speaker from the opposition team, I strongly disagree with the motion of online learning is good. And before I go through my points, I would like to go through what the second speaker from the opposite side of the house has just mentioned. So, First, you stated that through online learning, it can make students improve their virtual communication and make them a good leader, right? Well, actually, as far as I'm concerned, the better learning of communication and the process of becoming an effective and a great leader is done when doing things in real time, meaning that a face-to-face conference is not enough to do so. So therefore, there needs to be a real-life interaction happening, and rather than just facing a dead object such as the screen every day and for hours and hours. um, it is also said that it is better if students want to improve in that area in real life, where there is real life interaction happening between a human being and a human being, since sometimes facing a screen does not make us some type of way, since the screen does not have any feeling or human nature attached to it, right? So I think that is why that if students want to be more outside of the box, there needs to be a real life interaction going on between one individual and one individual. And also another thing that you stated is that it will make students get better in sharing and pitching their ideas. Well, I think it won't work effectively because, believe it or not, some students often felt alone and also overshadowed by other members in their class, maybe. And therefore, they're reluctant to share their ideas publicly because maybe they feel that their class members are more active and that they shared a great ideas, and that this student member felt that they're nothing compared to it. So making students feel left out and anxious and also worried or scared to share their ideas online. So I don't think that it's an effective way in making students participate in class. Therefore, it is definitely better if it's done online, where screen is not a limitation to expanding their ideas and their thoughts. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now that I have refuted the government side, I am now going to go through my point regarding this topic. Okay, so firstly, my point is that online learning equals to never-ending assignments. Through online learning, majority of students gets tons of assignments per day, and they get more assignments than usual, right? They're told by teachers to do so instead of the teachers or lecturers actually teaching them the material that they're supposed to learn and that they're supposed to get. And also, instead of getting a detailed information of the materials that they are supposed to do and get. Thus, students are complaining of how much assignments they get and they have to do each and every single day. And this is useless because in most cases they are not taught enough of the materials, and as a result they straight up just copy and paste everything from Google because they don't understand a single thing and they give up on doing the assignments. They get no benefit or knowledge. Instead, they get more and more stressed out due to the never-ending assignments that they get from their lecturers or teachers. And because of many assignments, students also do it carelessly, not caring whether or not they understand the materials or not, and whether they get enough information or knowledge from it or not. And also, due to many assignments, some students even have to get hospitalized because of how close the deadline is, doing one assignment after one another, and then it just keeps on coming up, and that's their repeated cycle. So that just shows how tiring the student is because of how much work they have to do, because in reality, assignment is not the only thing that they have to focus on and that they have to get done. There are also other things that they need to get done. So resulting them sick and even have to go to the hospitals, as I said, where it is ironic because in this pandemic, we are told to stay home, to stay safe, and to be healthy. But instead, what do we get? We get a lot of assignments and we have to do it. And the lecturers didn't even want to know whether or not there's a reason that we cannot do it or not. The lecturers or teachers just want us to get it done with. So it is really sad where we have to stay safe and to take care of ourselves, but instead we get to do tons of assignment every single day. All right, now that I have stated my first point, I'm going to move on to my second point. And my second point is that the struggle of signals during online class. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as we all know, not all areas are located in areas that have a high signal. And also, not all students, residents, are located in cities where they have really good signals. There are also many students who live far away in, especially those that live in remote areas and villages. And online study schedules are usually equated with face-to-face lesson schedules, where in online learning, students are also required to always attend class and enter on time. And for this reason, in order to enter online class on time, students living in remote areas or in villages where there are very poor and when there are poor signals must be willing to go far away from home to look for signals, making some even have to do risky things such as climb trees, be in a very dangerous place and situation, not caring whether or not they are, safe in that area. And the worst case is that some students might even die just to look for signals to attend class or participate in class. And this is actually, there's also just like an example actually in Indonesia, where a university students from Unhas supposedly died falling from a mosque minaret just to look for signals to do his assignment. This is really heartbreaking because he doesn't have to die just because of looking for a signal. That is useless, since it is not that important if you think about it. Dying because of looking for a signal, how absurd is the reason, right? And also, if the weather is good, students can go to a place with high signal, but in a bad weather, students in remote areas once again have to be absent or not attend classes because they couldn't find a signal. And all of this because of the signals, where they're not being able to learn properly and getting materials that they're supposed to get. So I think that this is one major issue that is concerning about online learning, is that signal plays a huge and major role in students' learning activity, especially for this online class. Also, their college tuition fee just goes to waste since they cannot get enough and better information from their lectures. All right, I think that's all for me. Thank you. I give it back to the moderator.
Okay, thank you for the second speaker from opposite team. Now we call the third speaker from the government team. So the time is yours.
Okay, thank you. I would like to give some response for the argument from opposite speaker before. The first one is the many tasks in online learning. It is not an excuse or a problem at right now, because the student should be to study and do assignment. Online learning doesn't make us too lazy. With this online learning, we are should be enthusiastic to search more knowledge from other source, not only from the lecture. And the second is the struggle of signal during online class. Observing the situation, here are some alternative ways so that students can still study online at any time. The first point is using a certain internet provider. Sometimes in each area, the network service coverage of each internet service provider or service may differ in quality. So it is recommended, if possible, to use an internet provider as a means of supporting online learning in accordance with the quality that exists in the region. The second point is go to an altitude location. If you are forced to go out looking for network access, you can go to a place where the area has a high light counter, because usually the power of capturing signal over long distance can be observed by electronic device at high altitudes without being obstructed by building or trees. And let's move to provided facilities for e-learning. The facilities provided include student or student management, management of learning materials, management of the learning process, including management of learning evaluation, and management of communication between learners and their facilitators. This facility allows learning activities to be managed with a direct face-to-face meeting between the parties involved, administrators, facilitators, students, or learners. The presence of the parties involved is represented by email, chat channels, or via video conference. There are already several subjects that have used and made use of e-learning, such as Edmodo and Google Classroom. Especially in Untirta was used Pada to support several courses, such as providing material, attendance, and assignment collections. Maybe that's all for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the third speaker from the government team. And now let's we call the third speaker from the opposite team. The times is yours.
Okay, thank you. We as our opposing team disagree with today's motion on this house beliefs online learning is good. First, I would like to give response to research person from the government team about SPADA and cost efficiency. The first point, I think the use of SPADA in some application is less effective. Why? Because in reality some users or students complain about some problems that often occur, such as the existence of several obstacles that cause disruptions or hinder the teaching and learning process, such as servers that cannot be used, or even servers that are down because they cannot accommodate user capacity. Then, the use of applications that are too diverse can burden students due to insufficient Android storage conditions. And the second point, I think our learning in terms of cost efficient is less efficient. Why? Because in fact, many parents, students complain about the cost they have to pay to buy quota. Okay, so I have observed the point from the government team side. Now I will continue my argument. As we know that we as human beings need to socialize and communicate without space restrictions, school is a place or space for students and teachers to interact daily. During the online learning process, teachers and students can only interact through online applications. In addition, in fact, many children defect, such as when asked the name of the third president, they look confused, whereas when asked the name of the artist or the celebrant and even the name of the player in the game, they answered enthusiastically. The results of the Central Java BVS survey said, from the teacher perspective, 38% were not all ready for this online learning. Meanwhile, in terms of children or students, 25% of the community considered the tasks given by the teacher during the online learning process to be difficult for students, and 24% of students experienced bad signal, and then 48% of people agree that online learning is less effective, and 10% ineffective, and only 7% find it very effective. Seeing the fact that the effectiveness of online learning is very minimal, online learning values must be reviewed immediately. That's all for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the speaker. And now let's we call the reply speech from the opposite team. So the times is yours.
Okay, uh, so our team
Okay,
still
ladies and
stand by our.
gentlemen, opposite. Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Um, I will tell I will tell you why our side of the house is good comparing to the government side of the house, right? Because first of all, our side of the house already give you a very clear arguments that already mentioned by our first and second speaker, right? About why online learning is not good, right? Especially for those who for those here in Indonesia, because like my first speaker said before, that it will make the students that will lack of their communication skill. Uh, because why? Because if we are do online learning, it will actually impossible for them to actually get their skills, because it is totally different when you are do the communication face to face, then through this uh, Zoom, for example, right? And then my second speaker already told to you about the tech issue, that not all the we not all for that all from us that live in a city, right? So it will leads to the internet connection, right? So it will actually disturb their learning because of this trouble, right? But comparing to the government team, they are didn't give us a, for example, the guarantee of cost efficiency, because again, like my first side speaker before, that it is more efficient for them if do on offline learning. Because why? Because currently, again, government, they do a look uh let's see, if you are live in Sarah in was that a Chipos chalk, it means that do you should go to school near your house. So it means that it will makes your cost you will not spend more cost for this for the transportation, right? So that's why I believe that our team as the house will win this debate. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your speech. And now to close the debate, I will call the government speaker for your reply speech. So the time is yours.
Uh, Thank you. So, our team still stand by our argument that online school is good because it's efficient, time flexible, and doesn't cost a lot of expenses. And that I, and that our, and that the opposite team arguments actually only relies on the individual that doesn't really caused by online learning, and that the problems can be solved if the government provides the facility for online learning. So, uh, yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone for all. And now this is the end of our debating. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi
warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh.
wabarakatuh.
Thank you.